Adam, dude, round one of the playoffs is done. We had some exciting games and some not so exciting games. So we got a little bit to talk about here for sure. We'll just get right into it, man. Start with the first game of the weekend there on Friday. You had Alabama and Oklahoma. Man, that was an interesting game. A lot of back and when I'll say back and forth, that was just Oklahoma had a 17-0 lead on Alabama. Um, we were kind of texting a little bit about it. I think we thought we were dead wrong on this game at
Yeah.
one point, and next thing I know, man, turn around and I think Alabama scored 27 straight or something like that.
Yeah.
Thoughts on this game, man? What do you think about Alabama taking Oklahoma in this one?
Yeah. I mean, I personally think that Oklahoma kind of came out the gate the way they needed to come out the gate. And unfortunately, just kind of from the vibe that I saw and the way the players were kind of jumping and celebrating on the sidelines, like whenever the stadium would play a certain song, like in a timeout or going into a commercial break, you saw a lot of players on the sideline kind of jumping, dancing, having a good time. And at this point, Oklahoma's up 17-0. Did they start celebrating a little too early? Did they kind of think that? And this is just my opinion. This is my take on it. Did Oklahoma kind of think they had the game in the bag too soon? I think you could definitely make an argument for that. And not to take away anything from what Bama did. I mean, they did what they did, but when you start to ease up and you get the illusion in your head that you may have already won a game long before it's over, that often can spell disaster for your team. Like you said, Alabama after that 17-0 run from Oklahoma, Bama goes on to score 27 unanswered, man, and at that point, really, regardless of what Oklahoma put together, the momentum completely shifted to Alabama, and Oklahoma didn't stand a chance in that second half, man.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely easy to get in your head a little bit that this game's going your way because everything was
Yep.
going Oklahoma's way.
Right.
They're up 17-0. They beat Bama once already this year, which we talked
Hmm.
about. It's hard to do too. It's hard to beat a team twice, especially
Yep.
hard to beat a team like Bama twice. Um, and I mean, at the same time, I like a little bit of energy. If
Yeah.
you're excited, keep it's playoffs. You're up. So keep a little bit of energy up for sure. But sometimes it is easy to get, I think when something it's going your way that much, you're thinking, man, we're going to win this. We can win this game.
Yep.
And Bama's proved this year that they are a resilient team. Even, here they are off of a SEC championship loss against Georgia. That was a pretty big loss. What do? They go down 17-0. You got to be thinking this ain't looking good for Bama,
Right.
especially after their last game, and they bounce right back and end up winning this game. And man, there was a time. I mean, Ty Simpson was throwing some great passes there, and in that second half especially. And there was a point where I think it's a Bernard is it number five of the receiver that they got. He
Yeah.
and he jumped up in that play he had for that catch over the guy, man. I mean, it was reaching behind his helmet to make that catch and getting up in
Yeah.
the air to grab that and going
Yeah.
up for that on a one-on-one ball like that. Man, that was a heck of a catch. And yeah, I mean, their playmakers made plays when they needed to. I think they finally started protecting. They were protecting Ty Simpson too. Whereas on the flip side of that, Oklahoma wasn't able to, protect John Mateer. I mean, he was, dude. It was like every time he stepped back,
Yeah.
that after that 17-0 lead, it's like after that they really got after him. Um, and Bama did what Bama's done in playoffs, and in big moments. And it's crazy. A lot of people, were saying Bama shouldn't be there. And I guess they went out and proved that they belonged in the playoffs. So they're
Oh
on to
yeah.
the next one to play
Yep.
face Indiana next. So
Yeah. Really, the biggest thing that jumps out to me in this game is probably just the quarterback play, like you mentioned. I mean, both quarterbacks kind of had to lead their teams because uh, over the course of this entire season, both of these teams have struggled running the ball.
yeah,
I mean, just looking at the stat line, Alabama had 28 rushing yards the entire game. Oklahoma had 55 rushing yards the entire game. So, I mean, these are two teams that are going to air it out. And
yeah,
I think even though Oklahoma lost, like you mentioned, I think Mateer made some good plays. I think he did probably enough to win the game potentially, just based off of his play alone. He did have one interception. Ty Simpson had no interceptions. But yeah, I mean, really two really good quarterbacks, man.
Yeah.
Kind of went head to head. Like I said, the rushing game was completely non-existent in this one, and it has been for much of the
Yeah.
season for both of these teams. But
I have a feeling that
I
might
don't know.
be something that bites Alabama, but we're not doing predictions today. But we'll just see how.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, watching this game was probably yeah. I think as far as the weekend goes as a whole, this one was definitely the most exciting game to watch. Um, we predicted it correctly. We did say on the last
Yeah.
episode that Alabama was going to win this game. They ended up coming out with that win 34-24. But that middle part of the game, the second and third quarter, is really where Oklahoma kind of took a backseat to Bama,
Yeah.
and just Bama started clicking. Like I said earlier, all the
Yeah.
momentum shifted, and at that point, I don't think it was a question, Mike. To be honest with
No, no, I think then once I flipped it back, you know, got to see that because I missed a little bit there at one point. I
you.
was working, and so when I flipped it back, I realized that score change. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
yeah, this is definitely going Bama's way. Um, and yeah, it kind of just went from there. On to the next game, a game that we did incorrectly
yeah,
predict on this one. Which this was one of those two. Those that's tough to predict. We said that these two games would be really tough to predict, and it was a close game. Miami did beat Texas A&M 10-3. Um,
yeah,
Defensive battle, man. If you're a defensive guy, this was a game you would have enjoyed. Um, you know, um, Other than that, a lot of fans probably did not enjoy this game. Would have been a pretty boring game overall, man. It was 3-3 in the fourth quarter. Actually,
yeah.
3-0 in the fourth quarter, and then A&M tied it with a field goal. Man, this game did get dramatic at the end.
Uh, yep,
Both offenses it's like it clicked into that. All right, it's crunch time. Somebody's got to win.
yep,
Because Miami went down, and they scored a touchdown. Their receiver actually is a freshman, and he had a fumble the series before. He ended up being the one to score the only touchdown in the game.
yep.
Um, and then their running back man just I mean, he went beast mode in that last in the
Oh
game
yeah,
in general, but in that last bit too, it's like he just put the team on his back. So that was cool to see, man. I'm not gonna lie there. And then A&M, man, they hadn't been moving the ball hardly. They were driving right down the field within a minute, man, within scoring position. They were on like the 5 or 6 yard line,
yep,
and how fitting that such a defensive game ended in an interception in the back of the end zone.
yep,
Um, and I
yep,
mean that's how heartbreaking for Texas A&M to be, to get that close and feel like you had that momentum at that point, thinking this thing's probably going to go to overtime, and then with the interception there to seal the game. Uh, Thoughts on this one, man? With Miami advancing, that's another team that was on that borderline of are they going to get in or not, and they're moving right along.
yeah. I think regardless of the score, regardless of how it played out, this is a very very impressive win. I think for Miami,
Yeah,
going on the road against the Texas A&M team who was, I mean, I would say probably the most consistent and best team in the SEC all season. They didn't make the SEC
yeah,
championship game and all that, but if you look back at the entire season, I mean, they were right there at the top, ranked in the SEC all season long. Miami going on the road to play a team like that and coming out with a win, so impressive.
yeah,
And what's really even more impressive, like you said, it was a defensive game. I mean, Carson Beck didn't have to hardly do anything to win this game. Um, as far as just like big time crazy numbers. I mean,
yeah,
he only had 103 passing yards, only attempted 20 passes.
yeah,
So I mean, you take that into consideration, dude. Usually in a win, your quarterback seems to have at least a couple hundred passing yards. I mean, this kid only had 103 passing
yeah.
yards. I
It's
thought that
wild,
was a
man.
pretty wild stat line. And then going back to the Miami running back that you were talking about, heck of a day, man. I mean, I think he averaged 10 yards a carry
Yeah,
on 17 attempts. I mean, uh, you know, earlier in the season when you and I talked about Miami and all that good stuff, we did say, and I'm not trying to double back because since then things have changed, but they
Yeah,
are now in the playoffs and they won their first round game, um, and they didn't have a slouch for an opponent. um,
yeah,
we talked about Miami having a really good defense and playing fast and getting to the ball and watching several Miami games this season. That was obvious, right? I mean, I thought
yeah,
that their defense was much better than their offense. And there was a point in time where we actually said Miami might be the best team in the country. Now that's hindsight, whatever. But I guess really, Mike, even though you and I didn't predict this one correctly, and we thought Texas A&M would get the win, maybe we really shouldn't be all that surprised. You know what I mean? I mean,
yeah.
that
I mean,
Miami came out with a win here.
yeah, this is a Miami team at one point that was number two in the nation.
Yeah.
They've had moments where they've looked like a better, one of the better teams throughout the
Hmm.
season. Then they've had their moments where they're down moments, and I'll say it when Miami plays um, well, they can be a
Yeah.
dangerous team, so they
Right.
do have a lot of talent, and this time their defense, really stepped up and happened to, and they've got a good defense as well.
Yeah, man.
But they really stepped up in this game, so it'll be interesting going forward to see how they do, and they're definitely not a slouch of an opponent to have
No.
on your schedule, man. So interesting to see when they play Ohio State and how that's going to go.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's going to be wild,
uh,
man. And as far as Texas A&M goes, I know we didn't really say too much about them. Marcel Reed, I mean, what do you think about Marcel Reed and his performance? He had two interceptions.
I think, man, I think he's one of those guys that's super talented. He's got
Hmm.
got a lot of talent. I just think some of his inaccuracies and and some of the decision making that on the third, it wasn't even the decision making. I don't want to say that because watching the play where he threw the interception, he had the correct read. There was an opening at one point, but
Yeah.
inaccuracy threw it a little bit behind the receiver and timing
Yeah.
was late on it, and having that late, you can't in those type of moments where the window is so small, you can't have late timing like he did on that. So his
Yeah.
timing and accuracy, I think, is his main problem, and that's where you've seen a lot of the turnovers that's happened for him. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't, like I said, I don't want to say decision making in that moment because that play that was the go-to moment. You see the window when you're looking at the replay. There was the window there.
Hmm.
If you throw it with the correct timing and accuracy, and you get it in front of the receiver, you're going to have a touchdown right there.
Yeah.
And but those have been his issues, man, and that's created turnovers. And you know, he's a sophomore, so he's going to have it's a
Yeah.
year under his belt there of playing all year. So that maybe that'll be something he works on. I'm sure that's what they're going to be trying to work on him with
Yeah.
going into next season. But yeah, you know, uh, it is what it is. Like I said, he's got a lot of talent. We'll see how he turns it around. That's a heartbreaking moment. I know he probably feels.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine the feeling of like you drove your team all the way down to get a potential tie in the playoffs, big
Yeah.
moment, and then right there, that you got to feel like you let everybody down.
Yeah.
Um, but it's football, and that kind of stuff happens. So those type of players have to in those moments you gotta can't be negative on yourself. You can either choose to let that affect your next season and let that affect your career, or you turn those moments around and get back at it. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
hard to
I
do
was
in that
gonna.
moment.
Yeah, I was gonna mention the same thing you mentioned. The fact that he's a sophomore is really,
Yeah,
really cool. We get to see him. Uh, you know, we get to see his career kind of play out. Now, whether or not he hits the portal or whatever, I mean, I don't see why you would. But college
no,
football's crazy. We can't
no,
we can't really make sense of what a lot of the decisions
no,
are, especially when it comes to these young players. But I wouldn't imagine that he would want to leave the situation that he's in, especially coming
no,
off a
certainly not.
season like they had. And the fact, if I was a Texas A&M fan, I would be excited moving forward to see how this kid plays
Yeah,
in his junior year. But
oh yeah, for sure.
in Miami, I mean, as far as Carson Beck goes, we kind of know what Carson Beck is. We've seen him at Georgia. He's a veteran. So yeah, there's that. But
Yeah,
I thought it was worth a mention. As far as Marcel Reed goes.
yeah, for sure, man. Definitely think he could have the future could be bright with him still. I mean, he's got a lot of talent.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
So going into now our what I would say more of our exhibition games here. And 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 no hate. Honestly, man, I'm not hating on. Before we get into this, I'm not hating on Tulane. I'm not hating on James Madison. I was honestly excited for James Madison,
Yep.
but man, there's a different caliber of football being played,
Hmm.
and
Yes. Yes.
um, Ole Miss and Tulane. We'll start there. We got that one right, and no surprise. And I do have a couple of things I'll talk about with Ole Miss on this, and positive for them. You know, they played Tulane earlier in the season. I think they won. I think it was 45-10. Well, they won 41-10 in this game. No change, same situation, same outcome. You know, and they beat them 10 out of 10 times, in my opinion, man.
Yep.
Um, this
Yep.
game especially was showcasing just the talent difference. I mean, Tulane, Ole Miss had 14 points before you knew it. They scored on their first drive within a minute, and you know, Tulane was moving the ball a little bit there at first, and then when they did, you know, in the first possession when they threw the pick though after moving it down through there, and then Ole Miss went right down and scored. I knew this game was not going to go their way, and we knew that I think early on.
Yep.
Um, but Ole Miss was the easy win. There's going to be a lot of talk about on this, but I do think um, Ole Miss, man, um, looked impressive. I mean, I know it was Tulane, but they did and executed just like they're supposed to. Their offense was clicking. Looked like, you know, I mean, it looked like Lane Kiffin was there. You know what I mean? As far as
Right.
how they look there, I think their head coach stepping up um, into the role. I think he's going to do fine right now, and I think they might be a little more dangerous in the playoffs than we thought they were going to be based on the coaching. And I think their offensive coordinator is coaching. I think, as I've seen someone on the offensive staff, I just happened to catch part of this, and I think it might have been the coordinator was is coaching through the playoffs. So I think they, you know, Lane Kiffin's not there, but other than that, I think they might be, you know, as far as the playoffs go, staffed well to make
Yeah.
this playoff run. And the thing is, you don't change anything. You just keep running. You know, you run that same style of offense you did. Now next year you'll have to change things around, you know, and everything. But having a new, you know, Lane Kiffin still be in the SEC, he'd know your offense if you keep the same. But playoffs right now, you just roll through the same thing you've been doing, man. And
Yeah.
Ole Miss didn't look like they were missing him too much in this game, at least.
Yeah. That's true.
I don't know. I don't know if you got any
Well,
thoughts on this. I know ain't a lot to talk about with this
Well,
game, but
that's true. I think the biggest thing that I personally feel about this game is moving forward. I don't know that this is a good sample of the Ole Miss team that we're going to get the rest of the playoffs.
yeah,
I don't think you can really make concrete predictions or feel 100% confident about what Ole Miss looks like moving forward based off of
right.
this game. You know what I mean?
And
Um,
I agree. I just meant they executed as they were
yeah,
supposed to. Yeah,
you're right. You're right. And kudos to them. That's what you're supposed to do against teams that you're supposed to beat.
yeah,
Not saying that this is the end of the road for Ole Miss or anything like that. I just kind of want to look at it from a different lens and say, okay, if Ole Miss takes on Texas A&M first round, what are we looking at? What kind of Ole Miss
right,
team are we looking at?
right.
But you know, like you said, kudos to Ole Miss for getting the W with all the off the field
Oh yeah,
controversy and all the noise and stuff like
yeah.
that. I mean, you can't. I would imagine that it's almost impossible to block out that
Oh
type
yeah,
of distraction and that type of noise surrounding your program and your head coach,
yeah.
just bouncing on you right before the playoffs, coming off the best season in program history, all
Oh
that
yeah,
stuff. Um, but yeah, there's no I don't know. There's no illusion or anything to this. I mean, they played an inferior opponent. They were never
yeah.
going to get beat by this team.
No,
Like you said, 10 out of 10 times if these two teams played each other, Ole Miss wins 10 out of 10
10
times,
out
I
of
think.
10, man. I do too.
So there. I don't want to. I don't think that you're dealing with a situation where in a different scenario, Tulane comes out with the win. Um,
Yeah.
Moving forward, we'll just see what Ole Miss is made out of, man. It's going to be exciting to see how they perform against just a different caliber opponent.
They win if they win their next game, we're having to get a different conversation.
100%.
I'm not.
100%.
We're definitely not predicting that, or we're not making predictions today either. But I just
Right.
said if they win their next game, then we're having a total different conversation and being like, all right, well, I guess
Yep.
Lane Kiffin doesn't matter if it's there or not, if he's there or not. But
I mean,
obviously it does. But you know what I mean.
yeah, I mean, you could argue that Ole Miss had a first round bye.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's just that type of situation when we're
Yeah,
talking about this team.
absolutely. Speaking of another first round bye, Oregon beats James Madison 51-34. Um,
Yeah,
and there's gonna and I've seen it already. There's the comments. Well, James Madison put up 30 some points. They were down 48-13 at one point.
yeah,
Now the
those,
interception, and they were about to be down more. It was about, it was about Oregon was about to score again. They
yep,
did get good play by James Madison. They got pressure on the quarterback, got a big interception there. Um,
mm,
Oregon, man, I mean, when you're up 48-13, they let up. I mean, it's
they
I'm
did.
sure, and on defense, and I've read some stuff where they had some, putting in some second string guys, had some people coming in, probably resting up to try to get ready for the next one. But they definitely let up. This game at 51-34, it still looked closer, even though
Mm,
that's not close by any, you know what I mean? Like, don't don't take that as a mistake for that's still a 17 point deficit there. Um,
yep,
and but it looked much closer than what it was. I mean, this
right,
was a 48-13 at one point. So, um, kudos to James Madison as the university still making it. It's cool. Definitely not hating on them at all. They're in what they are. They're a great team in their
yep,
conference and everything. Um, and they put up. I would say they look better than they're a better team than Tulane, in my opinion.
yeah, I agree with that.
Based on how they look. They may not, overall, but um, they definitely put up a little bit more of a fight. But again, the final score, don't if you did not watch this game
Yep,
and you look at the final score, don't let that even reflect on how close this was, because this was at 48-13 at one point. This was not a close game.
yep,
Um, and I'll let you talk about what you want to say on this game, and then I've got some things to say about these two games in general and the
yeah.
playoffs and the structure of everything.
Yeah, man. As far as this game goes, I'll be honest with you, Mike. This game and the previous game that we talked about, the Ole Miss Tulane game, these games to me were almost unwatchable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, early, and I say early. I'm talking like first quarter, like first few drives early in this Oregon JMU game. There might have been a little bit of excitement. I mean, just because it seemed like Oregon kind of came out to a. Now I know Oregon came out and scored quickly, but the way JMU was playing in that first half of the first
Had an
quarter,
8 minute drive in their first
right,
drive.
right, that was some excitement. You were like, okay, you start
Mhm.
kind of saying stuff like that to yourself, like, okay, what's JMU going to do the rest of this game? But I mean, like I said earlier about the other game, it was just inevitable. You put these two teams up against each other 10 times, and I think Oregon wins 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But
I
to
think
me,
I think if
man,
they played again after this one, Oregon would be mad that they let them come back. Something would be even worse.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just my takeaway from both of these two games, Mike, is just they're just unwatchable. And I hate to say that, and I don't ever want to come across as we're being disrespectful to these programs like
Yeah.
JMU or Tulane, because we're not.
Yeah.
And we can dive into that conversation here in just a second. But just when it comes to these two games, man, it's really almost like a disservice to the playoff. You know what I mean? It's obvious when you put teams like these on the field with teams like Oregon that
Yeah.
it's just two different calibers. It doesn't even look like. I mean, even down to certain players. I saw a replay of a play that happened in that Oregon JMU game, and one of the defensive linemen for JMU just didn't even look like he needed to be in college football.
Yeah.
Just his stature and the way he was running, and it was just so obvious that he could never make a play on anyone on the Oregon side of the on the offensive side of Oregon. So I mean, you're talking about two completely different levels of football, two completely different. I mean, it's just I'll just stop. I'll just stop, and I'll just say it's just really unwatchable for me. Nothing exciting about it for me.
Yeah, man. And this is a playoff, so you expect great games. And you're gonna have blowouts
Yeah, of course.
at times. It's just gonna happen. Sometimes you'll have a team that deserves to be in the top 12 and has been doing great all year, and they may even have an off day, and the other team have a great. You're gonna
Right,
always have some type of, every game can't be down to the wire. Every game can't be because
right.
you know, as much as people want to believe, it's not scripted. So I
Yeah.
mean, you would have to script it to make every game that close. And so you're gonna have games that just turn out as terrible games, and that's understandable. But this is a setup for terrible games. You knew it was going to be bad. I we,
Hmm.
I knew it was going to be blowouts. Early on in these games, I could tell. I was like, even with JMU going down and taking 8 minutes to, on a drive there. Also, Oregon scored so quickly, I knew they weren't going to be able to stop them. And then when
Right.
JMU took the 8 minutes, they only come away with 3 points. And then I
Yep.
knew right then, I was like, this still ain't going to be good
Yep.
because they were bringing out everything they could to get that drive together. And
Yep.
and so you know,
That.
it's just different caliber.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
And well, I was just gonna say when you said bringing out everything they could, I mean, it was so obvious that there was such desperation
Yeah,
that going into it with that game plan is not sustainable for 4 quarters.
no,
Regardless of the level of your school or your coaching
no.
staff or your players, I mean, you can't
And they
just,
had to.
you, yeah,
That's the
you
thing.
can't put it all out on the line for one drive. I mean, you've got to strategically game plan, and but
Yeah.
they couldn't.
They,
They had to do what they had to do.
yeah. I was gonna say there was no. I don't think that there's no other way to have done it, and that's the thing. They were just
Right,
that's how outmatched they were.
right.
Um, my thing is, man, uh, and I'll go ahead and say it right now. There will be my prediction on
Yep,
this, and I just want to put it out there before anything happens. I believe there will be a rule change going into next year. The playoff committee is going to look at these two games and be like, all right, we got to change something. Too many people are upset about it. Too many people are frustrated with it.
yep,
Now, for this year, the way the structure was set up, Tulane and James Madison was rightfully in the playoffs
yep. I
based
agree.
on the rules. Now, I'm not saying deservingly so as far as do I feel like they should have been there. I'm not saying that at all because I don't feel like they should have been there.
Right.
But based off the regular structure that it is now, because I see a lot of people talking about, oh, it's almost like a lot of people are like, why'd they put them in there? Well, they put them in there because of how the structure is. So,
Right.
so you have a problem with how the playoffs are structured, not that they put them in there because they did what they're supposed to on that. Um, so I think they've got to change things, man.
Mhm.
I've been thinking about it. Um, unless one of those teams would have been truly in the top 12 and had been like blowing teams out undefeated in their conference all year long, and they
Mhm.
looked good enough to play against some of these top teams, and they had them in a top 12, then they shouldn't have been there. Um, I think we're going to have to start just getting into, man, where whatever the top 12 teams are. Whoever's ranked the highest, whoever's had the best season, and whoever's sitting in the top 12.
Yep.
Um, because that would have put Notre Dame in on this one. That would have put I don't know if Vandy was top 12, but these teams that are right there, and you
Mhm.
take those top 12, and now I know that puts a lot of speculation into um, whoever's ranking controlling the narrative of who gets in.
Yep.
Um, I think at that point, it does kind of make your conference championship games even more undesirable. Um,
Yeah.
but I think you don't, and I think you do this. I think the conference championship games don't get punished. They don't do this, but it's the winner of your conference. Your school gets X amount of money, whatever it is, for being the conference championship. You get bragging
Mhm.
rights, and then
Mhm.
you're not punished if you lose in that. And then your top 12 teams are, when the regular season's over, they lock it in right
Yep.
there.
Yep.
And I think that's the only way to prevent this from happening. And if
Mhm.
that means eventually you got to give a conference champion, you do away with the conference championships, and I'm not saying to do that. I still want to see conference championships. I think they're exciting games.
Mhm.
But if that means they had to do that, if you want to have your top 12, I think that's the only way you can get a top 12 talent team in there because um, this didn't do it. That was not, those two teams were not top 12.
Yep.
I mean, they were ranked 20th and 24th before they got put into this, you
Right.
know.
Yep.
Um, and I just don't think that every team conference champion needs to be like, Virginia would have won it. They were still 18th. Um,
Mhm.
they would have skipped somebody. I just don't like the skipping somebody that's ahead of you because a lot of times you're skipping the more talented team
Yep.
to be, there's not a perfect structure for that, but that's just kind of my opinion. I think that you just
Mhm.
need to take the top 12 teams after the end of the regular season. Top 12 teams are in the playoffs.
Yep.
And maybe that takes away from a little bit. I mean, I know there's different opinions out there, but that's just kind of what
Yep.
I think should happen.
I agree with you, man, and that's kind of when this 12 team playoff thing first got introduced, and I kind of and everyone started seeing how they were going to do it and how they were going to match it up, and how they started manipulating everything and just structuring it
Yeah.
all funky. Like, the easiest thing to do is just drop all that conversation and drop all that narrative and just say, like you said, the top 12 teams get in. That's like the basketball playoff approach. That's the
Yeah.
tournament bracket approach. And that's what makes the most sense. Um, putting 1 through 12 in the playoffs and let them have at it, man. That really is what makes the most sense. Um, when you think about teams like JMU and you think about teams like Tulane, where does that leave them? Well, that leaves them out of this conversation. But
Yeah.
how about we do this? And this is my stance on it. How about we have two playoffs, two separate playoffs, and really, I don't think it hurts to have two separate ranking systems throughout the entire season. You've got a group of five top 25, and then you've got the Power Four top 25
Yeah.
throughout the entire season. And then what you have at the end of the year is a group of five 12-team playoff and a Power Four 12-team playoff. I know that's a lot of football and that'd be a lot of details to iron out, but that still gives teams like JMU, who had an incredible season, a chance to do something.
Yeah.
In this format and the way that things are today, a team like JMU could have undefeated seasons every single year, but never have anything to show for it because they're never going to run through a 12-team playoff with Alabama, Georgia,
Yeah.
Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, A&M, Miami. They're never going to achieve anything, and they're never going to have anything to show for it if they're always
Yeah.
sandwiched in with these types of teams.
Yeah.
There has to be a separate, I think, the end all be all to make, and no one's ever going to be happy, but what makes the
Yeah.
most sense is to have two separate 12-team playoffs or 16-team playoffs, whatever you want to do, but you've got to separate those teams and let them have something to play for outside of
Yeah.
what these bigger teams play for. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree, man. It just it just fixes a lot of this because, like you said, right, a team like JMU could have an undefeated season. They almost did. They only lost one game, but they could be
Right.
undefeated, dominate all year, and they don't. They're going to lose this game every time, and it's just is what it is.
Yep.
It's a different caliber of football, and it showed heavily in this playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I think we're going to be seeing some type of change going into next year. What I don't know, but
You have to.
there'll be something that the playoff committee will change
Yep.
going into this. But
That's
the
like
other stuff, or
that's like when it comes to let's think about and we'll move on after I say this, but it's what comes to mind for me when you think about high school football and you think about playing in state championship football games. You've got a single A state division title, you've got a
yeah,
double A, you've got all these different state titles. Why can't we have different levels of national championship titles?
yeah,
And I think that I don't know that that'll ever happen, and I don't know if we'll ever see that happen, or if I mean I don't know. I mean, if you've got two separate sets of playoffs, that means more money, right? I mean, I think
yeah,
I think I think there's a world where that could be a possibility, but it's never going to
yeah,
work out for those types of teams the way we do it nowadays.
yeah, for sure, man. Um, but the next round, at least, we should be everything should be
Yep.
settled out now, and we should it should we should have some. There shouldn't be any excuses for any of that now. So we got the rest of it
Right.
anyways. We got
Right.
that out of the way. Those teams are gone, and now we gotta move on. Got some interesting matchups, and we're not going to predict them. I just want to touch on it. I'll just
Mm,
name it off. How's it? For the teams that are playing. Alabama, of course, is going to play Indiana. That's an interesting matchup to me. I
yep.
don't know why. It's just you just don't see that much out Alabama and Indiana. So
Right.
that's going to be interesting for sure. Miami is going to be playing Ohio State. Um, Oregon is going to be playing Texas Tech, and then Ole Miss in a rematch is going to be playing Georgia.
Yep.
So that'll definitely be some interesting games. I'm pretty happy with the second round. I think I'm excited for it to see how that's
Yeah.
going to roll. I think there's going
Yep.
to be there's some really good matchups, some intriguing matchups that you want to see from the playoffs. Teams that you're not going to see Bama and Indiana face each other very often, or
Right.
Miami and Ohio State. You just don't. I mean, you can see that maybe more likely, but obviously Georgia and Ole Miss have already played. But other than that, a lot of these are just kind of teams that you don't really get to see play too often. So
Yep.
I'm
Really cool.
excited for the second round for sure.
Yeah, the second round's going to be awesome, man. I can't wait to watch these games. My only gripe about these games is when they're played. I mean, Miami and Ohio State play on a Wednesday, and the rest of the games are on a Thursday. I mean, it is what it is. I know it's like New Year's and all that. Most
Yeah,
people are off, but there are people that work on those days.
yeah,
But other than that, yeah, I'm super pumped
yeah.
for it, man. Just kind of scanning over it real quickly. Um, the two games that really jump out to me would probably be that Miami Ohio State game and probably the Alabama Indiana game. Those are probably the two games that I'm the most excited about. Personally, that's just me personally. But we'll be predicting these games and giving you all our full analysis on the next episode.
Yeah. Make sure to catch that next week. There, we'll have that come out the Tuesday right before these games too. It'd be perfect
Yep,
time.
yep,
So
for
so
sure.
definitely I'm looking forward to just talking about them and predicting them as well. So yeah, got
Yeah,
some I'm more looking forward to than others, but yeah, I think they're all going to be pretty good games to get excited for on that. Well, we've had some. Feel like here at the end we've had a little bit of negative things with the way the playoffs are structured and everything, but we'll move on to something a little bit more cheerful. As you all know, this week is Christmas, and
yes,
we're going to
sir.
get on to a little bit of Christmas talk. If you didn't already know, we're in the Christmas spirit here,
Oh
comes
yeah.
into this podcast. So, um, we're going to kind of get into a couple different things for Christmas. One, what is the GOAT Christmas movie? And two, a little bit of Christmas traditions.
Yeah.
Let's start with those Christmas traditions first, man, and then we'll save the GOAT Christmas movie here for the end. We'll end it off on that if that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man. I'll let you go on this. You got any Christmas traditions that you enjoy or that you do every year come around this time?
Yeah, so I mean, it's always like, everyone has the Christmas dinner with the family and stuff like that. Obviously we always do that. Growing up, man, it's kind of odd, I guess. I don't know. Maybe a lot of people do this. I don't know. But growing up, dude, my sister and I, we always opened up those Santa gifts on Christmas Eve, believe it or not. We never waited until Christmas morning like most people do, I feel like. So that I always thought that was kind of like an odd tradition. And growing
Yeah.
up into my older years, we've still continued that. And now that I have a child of my own, thinking about, I'm really starting to think, what should I do? What type of tradition when it comes to the gift openings and all that? My wife and I were discussing it. What should we do with our tradition with our daughter? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's something that I've kind of been thinking about this week. Um, should I do what I did when I was young and let her open them up on Christmas Eve, or should we do the more traditional wake up Christmas morning and the presents are under the tree, that type of thing? Kind of leaning more towards that for her, to be honest with you. Um, but as far as other traditions go, man, it's just that family time. It's the
Oh yeah.
time that you don't get throughout the year just because of work schedules and, you know, uh, my wife and I live in over an hour away from family. You get that dedicated time together
For
that is
sure, man.
very scarce throughout the whole year, man. But yeah, I'm when it comes to traditions though, I am now at a stage in my life where I'm trying to form my own traditions for my daughter and my wife and just us collectively. And I'll let y'all know how it goes, man.
Yeah. That's cool, man. No, I think you gotta do that. And yeah, I like that, man. kind of get your own thing rolling too.
Yeah,
And well, I enjoyed the other stuff too, but
of
because I
course.
was going to say I've got a few different things. One as far as the family wise, like you were talking about. First,
Hmm.
before I do get rolling, I've got to say it for me. Jesus is the reason for the season, man, in my
There you
opinion.
go.
So that's a big part of. I mean, that's the part of Christmas for me.
Hmm.
So I got to say that. But as far as the traditions and things I do, I really do enjoy that my mom's side of the family we have a Christmas party, and then my dad's side of the family they do live about an hour away from me, so it's cool to get to go really hang out with them and stuff well. And they have a Christmas party every year. We do the whole you get it, the Dirty Santa kind of Christmas where you draw a number and you everybody brings a gift and then you can steal those and stuff throughout the
Ah,
game.
cool, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
so super cool game, and my family don't hold back on either side, man. They will steal that gift if it's available. And now there's a limited amount of steals. You can't just have unlimited or last forever.
Yep.
But I always have a good time with that, man. And me and my wife really enjoy that. Um, as far as our tradition that we've kind of done, we've got a couple things. Christmas Day, me and my wife, right now we don't have kids, but we do wake up and pretty early on Christmas, and me and her have our own moment where we open up the gifts that we got each other.
Yep.
We normally go to my mom's after, and then we have her family back at our house later on that day. Um, so that morning, that we do have that moment that we can just have for each other, and just and I'm once we have do have kids in the future or something, I'm sure we would do the same thing, just have that little family moment to open our
Yep.
gifts early that morning. Because when I was a
Yep.
kid, we always did it early, and I woke up and as a kid, I was always super excited to wake up early,
Yeah.
and so we would do that, and then go on there. And then this year, of course, we always put up, some Christmas decorations and everything. We went a little,
Of
little
course.
hard inside the house this year. We got a lot of stuff up. Uh, the tree, though, putting up the ornaments, dude, that's probably one of my favorite things that we do. We'll have a Christmas movie going or have like Christmas music going, and put the ornaments on the tree, man. And we always, my wife always likes to get ornaments every year for someone in the family, and we'll write the
That's
year on
cool.
it. And I'm getting quite the collection of Tennessee ornaments, so it's pretty cool.
Nice.
I do put. I think I sent you a picture of it. I put front and center when it's like the night the goalpost came down, and it has the Alabama and Tennessee score from that when we beat them for the first time in forever. So
Yeah.
um, I put that one kind of in there. That's my front and center ornament, but yeah, that's always fun to us. And then the last thing we do, man, was we always pick an evening. Um, and here in our area, they got like a list of like houses that do lights and do some of them will even do where you can turn on the radio and they'll have like a show going with it, um,
Hmm.
with the lights and everything. So we always go and drive one of those routes and check out several of those lights that are on that list. It's just something fun we've decided to do every year, and so we always make time to do that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, super fortunate, to be able to do those type of things and just really enjoy those traditions. I know that everybody doesn't get that, out there, and I think that's something to keep in mind too, and make you even more thankful for what you get to do with your family and
Yep.
waking up to give the under the tree and stuff. It's not what it's about, but a lot of people don't get to do that, and I think that's
Right.
something this time of the year to keep in mind and just to really appreciate the time that I get with my family
Yep.
and the things that I do get. It kind of makes you sometimes it humbles you a little bit and makes you realize you got a little bit more than you think. So
Yep. For sure,
um
man.
but yeah, man, just a joyful time of the year, man. I really try to make the most of it and
Yeah.
real big on it, man.
Yeah. Speaking of Christmas trees, Mike, and putting them up and all that stuff, this is a pretty hot topic and a debate that I've heard a lot over the years from many people. Um, I'll ask you two questions. Do you guys go real tree or artificial tree? That's the first question. And then the second question is, once you put that tree up, what's that time frame looking like for leaving it up, and when are we taking it down? Are we extending it past New Year's? Are we extending it? I mean, are we creeping into February maybe? I mean,
Like, where we go from
where do you guys sit with that, man? As far as do you go real or artificial, and how long do you leave that thing up?
we do have artificial, the
Okay.
same tree we put up every year. I would love the tradition of like cutting down a real tree.
Hmm.
Uh, Honestly though, we both don't. Just as far as keeping it in the house. you got to really be careful with those. I know it could be a real fire hazard as well, but
Yeah,
that might be my that anxiety part of like of me worrying about stuff and like making sure that everything's taken care of in the house.
right.
I would love the idea of the cutting down the tree. I think that would be an awesome tradition,
Yeah,
but we do have an artificial and realistic. That's just what we go with.
gotcha.
Um, but as far as the time frame, my wife's ready to put it up in November. I think I think we would do it November 1st if we could, you know, as soon as Halloween was over. But
Yeah,
we do usually put it up later November. I know some used to. I was more about waiting till like right after Thanksgiving. Um, but then when you start doing all the work into it and putting your stuff up, I've learned that I'm okay with doing it earlier so that I have it up at least a little bit longer because
right,
I
right.
feel like at that point, I you do a lot of work. I don't want to take it right back down.
Yeah,
So
yep, that
um,
makes sense.
we put ours up in November, man, sometime probably mid-November, and then we take it down in January. We I think sometimes we push it a little bit. It's a little out in January. Some it's not immediate. My wife likes to leave it up for as long as she can.
Yeah,
But yeah, January for us when we take it
yeah,
down.
yeah. So yeah, it's kind of the same with us, man. I mean, we do have an artificial tree. They're just so convenient. You know,
Yeah,
you can pack them away. Obviously, they're probably more financially. They make more financial sense. You can
yeah,
buy a pretty decent one for a couple $100 and keep it for years and years and years. You know, if you get a pre-lit tree, obviously those pre-lit lights can mess up, but then you just string your own lights on it. But yeah, we do have an artificial tree. I'm like you though, man. There would be something cool about going to like a Christmas tree farm or something like that. I know
yeah.
here in our town where you and I both live, there are a couple areas set up. They're already cut, so you wouldn't actually have the action of going in and finding one and cutting it down yourself. I would like to do that one year though. I think it'd be really cool, especially having
It
a little
was,
girl to take her
yeah,
with you and strap the tree on top of the vehicle and hit the road. But
yeah.
as of right now, we do have an artificial one. Just seems to be a lot more convenient and easier. As far as when we leave it up, you're exactly right, man. You go through so much and it's so much work,
Yeah.
especially just dragging all the stuff out from your storage, right? I mean, that's probably the biggest part of it. Is digging around in there, and you're digging through fall decorations, Christmas decorations, Halloween
Yep.
decorations, whatever stuff you like. That's the hardest part. But we do kind of leave it up. I think really we don't really have a set time, to be honest with you, man. If we just kind of get tired of looking at it, or uh, with all the extra stuff that you get during the Christmas holidays, okay, do we have enough room in the living room here to put whatever we got for Christmas?
Yeah.
And at a certain time, it does start to get in your way a little bit. So, somewhere around the mid January, maybe early January, it does come down for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it has. So it's a sad time to bring it down for us, but like you said, I love it during the winter
Yeah.
with the clutter and like well, I don't say clutter, but like how like cozy it kind of feels. But then
Uh-huh.
it does after that at some
Yeah.
point it's kind of in your way. So
Yeah.
yeah, I get it, man, for sure.
It's funny though, because like personally, now I can't speak for you guys, but personally, I I dread getting all the stuff out
Yeah,
because it's just so much to get out and go through. But
yeah,
once it's up, I love it and I enjoy it.
yeah.
And then I dread taking it
Same thing.
down.
Same day.
But once it's down and everything's cleaned up and put away, then I'm back to being okay
Back
with
to
it
normal.
again.
Yeah, no, I feel you for sure. It definitely, yeah. It's
Yeah,
like once I do it, then I'm like, all right, this is nice.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
So talking about Christmas, man, it wouldn't be right if we didn't mention what we thought the GOAT Christmas movie is, because this
Mm.
time of the year, man, it's when the Christmas movies start. I mean, if
Oh
you go on
yeah.
Netflix or anything like that, you see them popping up everywhere, and um, so I'll let you go first on this one since I went first. Or well, no, you went first on the tradition, so
Yeah. Go
I'll
for it,
go
brother.
first on this one, man. Um, my GOAT Christmas movie. Now I've got a couple honorable mentions of movies that I just want to mention.
Sure.
Um, but looking over it, I thought about it and I was like, it's one of it's my favorite, and then I think it also is a goat movie. It's going to be Christmas Vacation, man. Um,
Gotcha.
it's just for me, I just love that movie. It's such a classic.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna have to give it my GOAT Christmas movie, Christmas Vacation. The reason I had honorable mentions, I also, I love Christmas with the Cranks.
Mhm.
It's been like that's up there with in my favorite. I went
Yep.
ahead and give the GOAT conversation to Christmas Vacation just because I think it's more goated of a Christmas movie
Oh
over
yeah.
that one. But I'm a big fan of Christmas with the Cranks, and dude, I like a Christmas Carol that has Jim Carrey as playing Scrooge. Um, I,
Gotcha. Yeah, that
that
one slept on, man.
that one's a the I really enjoy that movie. So it's up there. I mean, there's many great ones, man, and
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know there's Elf, there's all kinds of great movies
Yep.
that there's a ton I enjoy watching, but my GOAT is probably Christmas Vacation as
Awesome, dude.
be the one I'd have to go with.
Yeah, I'm like you on this one, man. I've got a couple that I want to mention, and then I have
Yeah.
my absolute favorite and what I consider to be the goat of all Christmas movies. Um, and I'll just go ahead and roll that one out. I also have National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation as my goat Christmas movie, man.
Nice, dude.
It's undeniable,
We
and
really
there's
didn't
some
talk about this either.
no, we
Yeah,
really didn't. It's
yeah,
undeniable, dude, and there's something growing up and looking at it from a different perspective as an adult now, there's something kind of relatable to it. You know, you get to
yeah,
see Clark Griswold kind of go through the madness of Christmas and the pressure
yeah,
to kind of like make sure his family has a good Christmas, and like you see it get to him in certain scenes where he just absolutely spazzes out and goes crazy,
yeah.
and then just the chaos of having the entire family inside your house running around, animals running around. It's so
Yeah.
relatable. It's over the top. It's a little
Oh yeah.
exaggerated, but man, it's so good. Such a good movie. So that is by far my GOAT Christmas movie of all time. I did have an honorable mention, and I just think that How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey
Oh yeah.
version. I don't think that there needs to be any other version mentioned.
Yeah.
That particular movie in general is just insane. Um, the fact that
Classic, dude.
yeah, you can't. No one could have pulled that performance off like Jim Carrey. You
No.
could cast that movie 100 different times and you'd have 99 fails,
Yeah.
failed
He is the
attempts.
Grinch.
Yeah, he is the
Uh,
Grinch, man. There's no one else that can compare. No one else could have pulled that performance off the way he did. Um, and then I do have another honorable mention, and this is just a staple. Growing up in my household, we watched it every year. You're almost forced to watch it because it's on 24 hours a day on the day of Christmas, and that's A Christmas Story. I know that.
yeah.
I don't know if anybody out there has. I would imagine you've seen it,
Oh
because,
yeah.
like I said, it's almost force fed to you every year. But but it's about Ralphie and he wants the Red Ryder BB gun and all that stuff, and it's just a classic, man. I think it's a really good movie. I'll watch it every year, and I'll always have fond memories of that movie, kind of sitting with my parents and watching that movie together. So
Oh yeah.
those are my three. But National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation takes the cake without question.
Yeah. Hey, if you're still with us on this, let us know what your GOAT movie is for Christmas. In the
Yep.
comments. Let us know some of your Christmas traditions. You got any suggestions for things we should do, or like,
Yeah.
or add to it? Help Adam out. He's trying to makes his own Christmas traditions. With his family. So,
Yeah.
um, open to any of that. Just talk with us on that. Wanted to go ahead and say, thanks for, again for subscribing and watching the videos. Make sure to like and subscribe. The subscribers help us keep this thing rolling, and
Hmm.
just we've had some momentum this year, and we really appreciate you guys helping us hit our goal. Um,
Yeah.
it's been a good Christmas gift for the Fourth and Whatever podcast.
Oh yeah.
So, and any of you watching out there too, Merry Christmas. Enjoy this season with family the best you can, and for those that can't, we just want to wish you a Merry Christmas, and just hope for the best week possible for you. So,
Yep. Yep, for sure. Merry Christmas to everybody, and Mike. It's been a great year, and looking forward to the rest of it, brother.
yeah, man, it's been fun as always, dude. I'll see you later, man, and Merry Christmas,
Bye.
dude.
Merry Christmas, brother.